Are you tired of watching your Nifty and Bank Nifty options just bleed out and expire worthless? Especially on expiry day? Well, you're about to learn a powerful strategy designed to flip that threat into a massive opportunity. Let's dive right in. So let's just ask the big question that every options buyer faces. Why do so many of your trades, particularly on expiry day, just fizzle out? Even when you nail the direction, they end up worthless. It's an incredibly frustrating and, let's be honest, expensive problem.
You know, the answer is actually pretty simple, but it's a huge deal. It's because you are fighting a battle you can't win against time decay. But what if I told you the secret isn't to fight it, but to find a very specific setup where you can actually weaponize it?
To really get how to do that, we first have to break down the biggest trap that catches almost every single trader on expiry day.
Okay, meet your number one enemy on expiry day, theta. After about 1:30 in the afternoon, this thing just goes into hyperdrive. Seriously, think of it like a clock that's actively trying to drain your account, eating away at your options value with every single tick. It is absolutely relentless.
And this right here shows you the painful reality of it all. On a normal trading day, right, a good directional move might get you a solid 20, maybe 30%, but on expiry day, that exact same move might barely get you to break even. Why? Because theta is just gobbling up all your potential profit. You can be right on the direction and still lose money. Think about that.
But what if we could completely flip that on its head? Well, that's exactly where we unlock something called the gamma blast. This is the absolute key to beating that crushing time decay.
All right, two really quick definitions you need to know. First up, delta. The easiest way to think about delta is as the speedometer for your option. It just tells you how fast your option's price is going to move for every 1-point move in Nifty or Bank Nifty. Simple, right?
But here's where it gets exciting. This is the real game changer, gamma. If delta is the speed, gamma is the acceleration. It's the force that makes that speedometer needle start moving faster and faster and faster. It's what turns your profits from just a straight line into an exponential curve.
I love this analogy because it's perfect. Gamma is the turbocharger for your trade. It doesn't do a whole lot when the market's just idling along, but when you get that sharp, fast, explosive move, that turbo kicks in and your profits can go absolutely vertical. So, how do we find this turbocharged environment? Well, we're looking for a very specific reading on our dashboard. For Nifty and Bank Nifty options on expiry day, we need the gamma value to be at least 0.002. Just think of this as the magic number, the minimum RPMs you need for that turbo to really spool up. Anything less and you just won't get that blast of acceleration.
And this visual shows you exactly why this matters so much. Look at the difference. A normal trade gives you a straight linear profit line. A gamma blast trade gives you that beautiful curving J-hook, where your gains just accelerate like crazy in a very, very short amount of time.
And what's the result of all this acceleration? Well, we're not aiming for your typical little intraday gains here. A successful gamma blast isn't about getting 20 or 30%. No, we are targeting explosive moves of 100, even 200%, often within a tiny window of just 15 to 45 minutes. That's the incredible power of weaponizing gamma.
Now, a real quick point, just to be super clear, a gamma blast is a specific intraday trading strategy that we execute. It's not the same thing as a gamma squeeze, which is a much bigger market event, or gamma exposure, which is just an analytical metric. We are focused purely on the tactical gamma blast strategy.
Okay, enough of the theory. Let's get into the practical side of things. This is the exact 4-step plan you need to find and trade this setup for yourself.
The plan is super simple and, more importantly, it's repeatable. First, we identify the specific window of opportunity. Second, we spot the market consolidating and building energy. Third, we wait for a confirmed breakout. And finally, step 4, we select the perfect strike to ride the move.
Okay, step 1 is all about the timing and the environment. This is an expiry day only strategy, and our prime hunting ground is after 1:45 p.m. Now, this is crucial. We need the IndiaVIX to be in what I call the Goldilocks zone, somewhere between 12 and 18. If it's too low, the market's just too sleepy. If it's too high, the options are way too expensive, and the risk just isn't worth it.
Step 2, we're looking for consolidation. You know, before any big explosion, there's always a buildup of pressure. On a chart, this looks like the market trading in a very tight, narrow range. Think of a Bollinger Band squeeze or a classic triangle pattern. This is the market coiling up like a spring, just waiting to be released.
Step 3, confirmation. We never, ever guess the direction.
we wait for the market to show us its hand. We need to see a rapid, sharp move. We're talking 50 to 100 points on Nifty or 150 to 300 on BANKNIFTY. And it has to be backed by a massive surge in volume, at least 150% above average. That huge volume is our green light.
And finally, we select our weapon. We're not just buying any old option. We are specifically targeting strikes that are at the money or just slightly out of the money. And the reason is simple. That's where gamma is at its absolute peak. Then, before we pull the trigger, we do one last check on our options chain to make sure that gamma is at least 0.002.
All right, let's put this all together. It's one thing to talk about it, but seeing what a real setup looks like is key. And just as important, we need to know what common mistakes to avoid.
Here's a perfect example. See how the market is just going sideways, coiling up, building that pressure? Then, right after 2 p.m., boom, we get that explosive breakout candle. And look at the bottom, a huge volume spike confirming big players are jumping in. This is exactly the kind of setup we're hunting for.
But listen, here's the #1 mistake that traders make with this. They chase the move. If you jump in after the breakout is already halfway done, your risk to reward is completely ruined. You're just buying at the high out of FOMO. Your entry has to be close to that breakout point, or you just have to let the trade go.
And let's be crystal clear about when to just sit on your hands and do nothing. If the market is choppy, sideways, with no clear direction, or if the VIX is below 12, this strategy will not work. That turbocharger needs fuel, right? And that fuel is volatility and strong directional momentum.
So, to make this as simple and actionable as possible, let's boil everything we've talked about down into one final pre-trade checklist.
This right here is your entire game plan on a single slide. Before you even think about placing an order, you have to ask these 5 questions. If you can't say yes to all 5, there is no trade, period. It's that simple. This discipline is what separates the pros from the amateurs.
So here's the bottom line. The Gamma Blast is a framework that completely transforms expiration day. It turns it from a day of fear, a day of watching your premiums decay, into a day of high probability, high reward opportunity.
So now you have the knowledge. You know exactly how to spot this powerful setup. The only question left is, when you see it happen live, in real time, will you have the patience and the discipline to execute your plan without letting emotion take over?
Hey, if this breakdown of the Gamma Blast strategy helps simplify things for you, do me a favor and hit that like button. And for more deep dives into Nifty and BANKNIFTY strategies just like this one, make sure you're subscribed. Trade smart.